So the first item I have on the agenda is currently in this year's budget, there is there's budgeting for facade grant. That would be the third round of facade grants that I wanted to just, since you all were not on the committee at the time, and please stop me if I don't think we've gone over this, but I did want to just give you a quick brief rundown of the 2021 facade grant overview, and I think this is kind of partly of why we didn't move forward quite yet, because the committee in the fall was a little hesitant to move forward without knowing kind of what some support in the community would be for this. But just a quick overview. We have 5 applications. We had 5 applications received. We awarded 5 grants. There were 3 in Cambria, 2 in downtown, and I'll just quickly do those. This was the new one that we did. This is 930 Cambria Street. So it is it's next to Bain Oil. That's kind of the best way to describe it. And is the front of the building. And so meeting with the artist, meeting with the owner, the group that looked at this for the facade grants said they'd really like to see some improvements along the side as well, and the owner was very amenable to that. This is what the artist came up with. Just as a quick, a little hard to see, this is a closer view. So the awning replacement would be more of a, what's the best way to describe it?
Sort of slatted.
Yeah, it's a slatted awning.
Can I stop you 1 second? So these grants were the ones that were awarded last year,
They were awarded, correct. Yeah.
And so, but these ones will start. When will these ones start?
Well, that's when we would. So this one is good to go. The owner just basically has to provide an estimate and start the work for this one, and for this current round. So,
But they are doing the work themselves.
So they would be doing the work themselves, and I have reached out to them just to kind of touch base to see where they are with it. I know it's a difficult time to be doing construction work. I did reach out to kind of see where they were. There was also a grant awarded for the improvements of the side of the building here. That was the before, and that's the after. Store. Then for the electrical supply building, that was awarded the first one, but the side was not part, so there was a small facade grant awarded for the side of the building.
But those are all done.
And that's what it looks like now, right? 2 that have not been done that were awarded was the roof for Old Town Barber, and I do need to check in with them. They had intentions of doing it this spring, so and then also Victor Casellas' building, a block down there across from Dollar General, where the committee awarded money to help do a handicap ramp along the front here and do the railings, iron or similar material for the railing. Does not start that yet.
Can you remind me what the eligibility
Sure.
For these projects were again?
The eligibility?
Yeah, for applicants.
Sure. So, well, I mean, basically, they have to be within the geographic area of Cambria and downtown.
And is that because they're historic districts, or is that just because?
Well, those are the 2 areas that we've been focusing on.
Okay.
Best if you focus the money in a specific area for a while at least, even if you move that area around.
Well,
because then you can see it. You can see
the reason I'm asking, I was curious if when we talked about the scope of this committee being expanded a bit, and I wonder if we should be looking more at some of the gateways. So looking more at the Roanoke and Radford Streets as well, as being equally as eligible as anything that's put in downtown or Cambria. And sort of maybe honing in on them because they're gateways. perhaps?
Yeah, you could certainly do that. You might want to decide if you've reached the mass you wanted to have in those
Mhm.
areas.
Right,
Like, I mean, if you feel like you've done enough in Cambria, then you could move
Right.
to another area.
because, I mean, you said this was round two, right?
This is the third round.
This is the third round, and I know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I certainly love Cambria and downtown, me specifically, but, the last couple of rounds haven't had a huge interest from those regions. I mean, we awarded all the applicants who applied in the last round, and so I'm wondering if we were to expand that, and sometimes you don't know until you throw it out there, but if there was an emphasis on Radford and Roanoke, if we were more inclusive of all of those, areas, that we cast a wider net, we get a larger response as well, and key in on what the response is.
I will let you know, and that's partly why, wanted to have this discussion, this fall, spring, definitely, but, I have been contacted by 3 businesses in downtown and 1 in Cambria. All 4 are, one is a new business and 3 are planning to open up in the next 6 months. And so that is, one actually, has the application and submitted the application.
When is the application due?
Well, that's kind of what I'd like to gain from you guys is, would you like to continue with the next round? Because we have it budgeted this year. And B, would you like to keep it limited to, and I did provide maps of the 2 existing areas. Would you like to look at enlarging those areas or kind of making it open for other areas in town? As Ben mentions, and you start to see this in Cambria too, the more concentration you have of businesses with improved facades, the more it builds on one another.
It tends to encourage those who haven't participated in it, so too.
I guess we just haven't seen a lot of that participation from these 2 areas in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, sometimes when you do them, the people who are gonna do it have done it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Sometimes you probably
I
are
do
just
think-
not interested.
I do think that, there should be a little bit of limitations as well, as, like, for example, if you do it and you get awarded this year, maybe the next year you cannot be able to qualify,
Oh,
to give
it's
somebody else
right.
a chance. Isn't that is it that the way it is right now? Because I felt like it wasn't.
You all, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
so I personally feel like maybe
want to open it up for,
open it up for new people instead of just the same people over and over.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's great, they have done great with their buildings,
yeah.
but I think
Right. And
if
if you don't expend all the money, you don't expend all the money.
you
know.
don't, I mean, that's not, I mean, this is still tax-paying money,
That's
you
right.
know? And so, it's not like it's free money that we got from somewhere.
And it is a matching grant.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
understand,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's still
No,
taxpayers' money, so,
I guess my thought is, and I understand about the targeted concentration and the impact that it makes. Do you, though, open it up just to see who applies? And, because it may be, you still only get 2 or 3 folks who actually apply from downtown in Cambria. And then there's sort of a spillover that might, though, there's money there and, we want to give that money to other folks and properties that are interested in making that same type of contribution, they just don't happen to be in those 2 districts.
does the money carry over?
I mean, it would be a request, for, that.
From us, the town council?
Right.
What about, I kind of agree with a lot of what you're saying, Casey. What about, I guess one of the biggest, places that I would like to connect on this area will be, like, closer to the entrance of Christian First or Shriners. Like,
Yeah.
if you were to stand it up to the donut shop, now, I'm not saying that they may apply, but I'm just saying how nice it will be. Like, I always feel like that area right there is so, I mean, there's a lot of people that live there, Shriner, people that go to Sinklin Farms, people that do go to Floyd. And when they come back to town, our image is not the best. You know, you have a sign, and right next to the sign, there's potholes. I mean, it's just, like, I completely agree, as far as, like, maybe if you give a little bit more opportunity to other business owners, maybe they'll be able to do something. I do know that, some business owners have not applied in the past just because even the matching grant is not, it's so much right now at this time, and obviously during the pandemic it's been hard enough for a lot of businesses knowing and not knowing what the future was gonna be like, so, and we still don't.
And we thought that was a we thought that was a factor.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are still hurting for money, you know,
Definitely with
so.
construction costs and supply chain.
Or do you sort of, we talked about using the placemaking plan as a roadmap and all that, so do we just expand to Midtown? And do we include that in with these other two locations? I mean, you use that, since that roadmap already exists, use that, you know, as a way to define what the scope here is.
Really about your priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, funds are limited, you know,
Right.
we'd like
I
to
do
be able
think
to do
that-
this everywhere, but we.
Yeah,
Right.
I do think that we want
But we didn't have that problem last year, is what I'm saying.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, we
Well,
did.
and I do think it would be worth also, if you're talking about expanding the geographic area or
Right.
you should also maybe go back and look at the activities that are eligible.
Okay.
I mean, I think if I remember correctly, like signage is not eligible.
Right. Landscaping is, the first round we received, 3 times as many applications as were funded, and, there were some landscaping requests there. The committee at that time chose to focus on landscaping.
Right.
And it makes sense, but like signage can have a really big visual.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, a lot of the time when you look at a building and you think about, you know, what could be done to make it better, signage is one of those things, because there's a lot of signage out there that's older, it's a lighted box design, so it's stuck up against the building, as opposed to like a projecting sign that might be a nicer
Right.
wooden style, or even illumination on the signs, rather than being internally illuminated, which is a very commercial look, to have, you know, a sign that's placed on the face of the building, but is illuminated with like gooseneck lights or something like that.
So that was or that wasn't allowed?
That was not allowed. For example, the electrical supply did change their sign, and that was part of their facade, but that was not part of their rear. And they had put a lot into the building, they had no problem, you know, matching the rear.
I guess one of the biggest concerns that I have, if you make it too large, like you're saying, obviously the fonts are, you don't wanna expand it, I mean, because then we're gonna have issues with everybody else being mad at us. Just
Yeah.
because, like, I'll be really upset if the business, like, across or on the other side was able to get all the benefits, and I wouldn't be able to. Obviously, I'm in a place where I can get them, I'm not getting them because I'm here, but I'm just saying that, you know, how far down the, and then if you do that, who are you gonna make upset, and then is this gonna be going to be taken away from the positive aspect
But
of
it
what
is
we're trying to do?
It is a competitive process, like, you know, 3 times as many as we could fund the first time around, there are people we're not gonna make happy.
I think one of the concerns, you know, from central business at the time this started and the facade committee was, the review committee, was that if, you know, would they be funding a sign for a business that would probably be purchasing it anyway and potentially advantaging one business over another because of location.
Right.
So I think you're speaking to that point. That was a concern.
I do
About
think-
signage. Not that it can't, you know,
Yeah,
it shouldn't be relooked, you know, that was, and that is really up to you all.
It helps to have good rules and a good rubric about it, so you can justify it for people, wherever it is and whatever you do.
You can always do it one block at a time, you know,
Yeah.
expanding one block this way, one block this way, one block this way, and one block this way, just to be, you know, I guess, uniform, instead of just saying, hey, I want this side instead of this side.
wanted to include signs, you could make them only eligible as part of a larger project, for instance. I don't know.
I do
mean,
think that the signage maybe that we can weigh on that as far as signage thing.
Sure.
I do
I'm
agree
just
with
giving you
you.
this example.
No, but I do like that, what you're saying. But I do think that we can offer more buildings the opportunity to have access to this instead of just signage.
Sure.
It will be better, because I think this is what that is about. It's about making sure that people maintain their buildings in a a stable condition.
That'll make a bigger impact too.
Do you think that we should extend maybe how do you foresee doing it in a way that is fair for everyone?
Yes. You know, my thought is, if we, you know, just sort of move forward with approving this committee to look at a larger scope of these districts, I just sort of think that this is a project that we should stay that course, and that this should be something that is applied to a number of our districts that we have, not just downtown and Cambria. Now, having said that, though, if the advice from staff is that it's better to target a certain area, you know, I could certainly be persuaded otherwise. I'm just sort of thinking like how this fits in with the mission that we have with the committee, and then maybe now how that gets overlaid with the facts that we established with the creative placemaking, or with the placemaking plan.
Right.
You know,
Right.
how that helps guide this whole process.
So I think that the Facade grant, it was a way to rehabilitate and bring back downtown Christiansburg. And that included Cambria, because downtown Christiansburg was also Cambria, downtown. So
There are two historic.
I do think that the historic district is something that we have to preserve as much as anything in the town. And I can tell you from a perspective of trying to get any kind of permit. You can get a permit for a new building all day long, no problem. For an old building, it's much harder. Why? Because you have a lot more things that you have to bring your building up to code. And so, if our idea is to make sure that our old buildings come back to life, this is the right way to do it. Now, if we start doing a facade grant for everyone, I think we're opening ourselves to the mall wanting to, you know, get into the marketplace, Walmart, you know, Target. I mean, there's Walmarts and Targets in other places that have beautiful facades, you know, like the whole front, they look like old buildings. And that's a perfect example in Williamsburg. They make them look like they're 200 years old, but they're not. I do think that, I personally feel like if we make it too large right now, that we're probably gonna be hurting ourselves.
Just, throwing this out there, how would you all feel about this round? I have some interested applicants already, keeping the districts that you have in this round, and then we as a committee could work on identifying some future areas, whether that's through the placemaking plans or some kind of, you know, corridor thinking or something like that for the next round. That would give you time to really drill in and, you know, sort of decide what you want.
And I think you can
Sounds good.
also emphasize yourself on older buildings.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to have not a brand new building that was built into 2000 to get a grant, but a building that was built in the 1950s. You know, and so I think if we emphasize, and maybe planning can do this very well, you know, go and look at all the sites of our town and see which buildings need help. And maybe say, come back to central business and say, hey, we feel like these buildings, all of them, really, really need help.
You know, we could come up with some recommendations of areas. Andrew, is there a criteria for the age of the
How do
building?
you feel about that, though?
There's not.
I don't, especially if there's already interest in these two areas, I don't have a problem with it. Now, what happens if it just I mean, 3 applicants, the 3 that you have, and that's it. We just award the 3, and the rest of the money just gets rolled back into,
Depending on the strength of the applications, I mean,
we could give them more money.
well,
No, I
I mean,
think
you wouldn't get more
I mean,
money than what they asked for.
That would be, but that would probably come back to central business, you may want to discuss that with council, to kind of change that aspect of the program, but I think as far as the criteria, I think it just wouldn't get funded.
So, I still haven't had, I don't know that maybe I didn't
Yeah.
listen to the answer.
Right,
When was the time frame is
So-
done, these are the people that applied, these are the people that got it. Now, some of them finished, some of them are still in the process. Now,
yeah,
when is
well,
the next
we're looking
stage?
for them to finish by the end of the year, if not, we would have to roll those dollars over for the 3 that have been awarded. Now, as far as another round, that if you all gave us, whenever you give us the go-ahead, we can start to advertise that. And, if
And how long
that's the direction that you want.
And how long does it necessarily actually take?
We
for
would
that?
want to give them at least 30 days, I would think, for an application period.
Well, you
Yeah.
start
That's
advertising 30
advertising,
days before,
right,
and
yeah.
then you give them another 30 days,
Yeah.
so it will be like 60 days, or?
So we
is it-
we would need to carry over, through the next fiscal year. But, because we would probably be making selections at the end of June, early July. And it's really the time, we encourage, applicants to, do it within 6 months, right away.
I think I want to see what the recommendation is from planning commission as far as like, what other areas, within,
From staff, you mean?
yes, within like maybe the downtown areas close to the middle of the town, including Cambridge.
So I have a couple questions for
Mhm.
you all. If you would want to, re-advertise or have a new round, would you want to look at the existing corridors within Cambria, but more so probably in downtown? Because it really was designed to capture, North Franklin and, and Main Street. And so, and really from Roanoke, to, this is, a little beyond, where Radford comes in. At any rate, so would you want to look at
Where's
expanding-
town
expanding
hall
it
on that
to-
map again? I'm
right,
sorry.
right here, so town halls actually, yeah. So, so it would be, would you wanna look at expanding it to First Street? So buildings such as like Cook's Cleaner would be eligible, on First Street. Or would you like to look at Depot Street? So all the businesses along Depot Street would be eligible.
That will have the advantage of making your downtown more than just a street or two.
Yeah,
I
larger.
mean, one of the really great things about downtown Christiansburg is it has more of a grid pattern, and there are other ways to get around, and, it's not just a one-street kind of town. And that will help with that.
Now, there are restrictions as far as like, it cannot be, someone's house, it has to be a business, correct?
Correct, right.
And now, I'm okay actually standing it, up to even maybe giving the opportunity to Summit, what's it called, Summit Restaurant?
Yeah, so it would include, so you'd include College Street in that area.
Yeah, I actually like that idea. I mean, I
I
think
mean,
in every other circumstance outside of the actual lines on the historic district, we include that as downtown.
Right,
So,
and it is,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I mean, and it really does extend,
I mean,
to
and
the
that's
border
even
of
called
Bradford
downtown
and-
park anyhow.
Radford and Depot and,
Mhm. And it might, that's gonna hopefully broaden the pool anyway, right?
How
So-
far down is, well, I guess this is not a real map, how far down, how many streets over is like the exit or the highway?
Right.
Of Route
So
Main Street?
right, so you have a residential district, you know, before you get to the commercial pocket by Main, you know, as you know. So let's see. So,
6 blocks.
so this is McKeep, so I'd say, you know, and El Bronco, so that's kind of the edge, I think, of what people think of as downtown.
Does the Bronco actually, is any?
So it's currently not in the district, yeah, currently not in there, so that would be a question.
That's actually a really cool place to live
Yeah,
in.
it is.
So I'd say it's 1, 2, 3,
But I mean, you can also,
5, 6 blocks.
but you
Well,
can
even more.
include it,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, right.
you can really include things like that, but obviously you know that the residentials wouldn't apply, I mean, wouldn't qualify.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
So-
zoned residential too, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you've kind of said you want it to stay residential.
right.
I mean, one thing it was transitory.
Okay, so can we wrap it around so it includes El Bronco as well?
Sure. So for downtown, you could,
Basically stop at McKeep.
so basically, over here, it's more residential, this portion of Depot.
Okay.
And then as you got the old,
Right.
How many buildings do we actually have close to, like by the fire station? So, where's the fire station?
yeah, so it's mostly, I mean, the commercial structures on Depot would be on this really,
But there is nothing, I mean, there is one of the buildings, the Host House building is actually an old building, isn't it? That's been in there for at least, ever since I have been here.
yeah.
I mean, it's a box,
I
but,
think the north side of Depot, there are a lot of businesses that, you know, would be eligible
Yeah.
if it was extended. You know, not so much on the, south side, because those are all, you know,
well, I even like all that area mostly because you got the library there, you got the downtown park, you
Yeah.
got the fire station, you got all of your main, government offices within.
Yeah, I would suggest, I mean, I'm looking at the boundaries being college on one side, First Street on the other, and sort of, and box it out.
Now, can I,
include Depot?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Yes.
so if I was to kind of draw, you come over here, for Town Hall,
Yeah,
back
past
over,
Iron Tree and then go up.
and then go up on First Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
now can I make a comment about this, and maybe you can help me find out about this, Andrew? Obviously, I own properties on this location, and, you know, I have been able to qualify for the Facade grant or whatever, for some reason or everything else. With me making this decision, not that I want to apply, but I want to make sure people know that I do have properties in here, and I am not making this decision because I want my properties inside the circle thing.
Mhm.
I'm just making this decision as helping the community right now. Because I have properties on this side of the town, do I not have a say on this, or
Yeah.
do you feel that, I mean, I don't,
I think by disclosing it, and you're stating that you believe that, you know.
so I
you'll
have
not
a
be
property on
benefiting
Depot
from
Street,
that.
I have a property in College Street and Franklin Street. I just wanna make sure that you guys know that, and I'm not putting those properties in there just to say I want something out of there. Just to make sure. Are you okay with that, Casey?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
If there's any further concern with conflict of interest.
Yeah, but please, but let me know, because I don't wanna get in trouble either.
Right, I mean, I believe that, you know, you're a member of council and you're a member of the committee, and, you know, we're making decisions on.
So I do like Bronco, I do like all those businesses in there within that circle. Will the, McKeep, because the nonprofits are not able to qualify, right?
So No, I don't think we had that as a criteria.
Can you
It's
double
really a
check on
property
that for
owner.
me?
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's owned, a nonprofit could apply. I'm trying to think if has been one that's applied. I don't believe it could apply.
A church school applied, right?
Church could apply.
Scope,
I mean, it has to be a business, though, so it has to be, you know. I
Oh,
mean,
so he
so a
cannot,
church, yeah, so I
it
mean,
has to be a business, so, yeah.
I mean,
Commercial and
I think
residential.
if they did apply, I would probably say, go ahead and apply, and then we would, you know, let the committee decide. Because, I mean, it matches
Well,
all the other
but then you're
criteria.
opening up yourself to a
Yeah.
lot, maybe even a lawsuit from churches.
Yeah, so,
Well, it says
I can
mixed
look into
use,
that.
that will
Yeah.
cover a lot of that. You don't typically have a mixed-use church, but you
Mhm.
might have something that's got an office on the ground floor, and residential.
Like, for example,
It's
that
not
building
profit.
that they just fixed at the Presbyterian Church, the one that has the little people on the top, that's really cute. It's like gray color now and white. It used to be like a rock.
Yeah, that's nice.
I thought that was really pretty what they did.
Yeah.
No, I do think, so you got College, you got Depot, you got Bronco Street, First Street, down to, how far down do you go on, Main Street? On the map, we were looking at the map
Yeah,
a minute ago.
that'd probably be town hall, right?
No, he's looking
On-
the other
on-
way.
oh,
We're
you're
looking
looking
at
the
So
the
you're
other way.
thinking here, yeah, I mean, I'd say to McKeep across from Bronco, because this is really residential through here. And then this portion of Depot, and then pick it up in this area here.
Do you
Where
know
more
how
commercial
far
buildings.
down, the main road, which is called Gray, it used to be called Gray Road? Do you know how really far down used to be, where all the buildings used to be back in the past? How far down did he go to? That it was like the main downtown area? Cause I know there were a lot of
I'm not sure how much
buildings.
it extended beyond. And it's, you know, my knowledge is based on historical paintings, you know, that I've seen at the museum, or that we have here at Town Hall. Or I've seen it.
So that'd be
Picture books,
really
picture
cool
books,
to keep
yeah.
within that, you know, within the main drawings of what Christiansburg was in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first two rounds, I know the first two rounds was really an effort to get a concentration of buildings. But I think as we saw the second round, maybe we are maxing out that area. And if someone does apply in this area, then it would just add to it. But, you know,
I would
sounds
really
like
like
we're
to have a
all leaning towards
restriction.
expanding it, which then would help
I would
the
really
downtown.
like to add a restriction in there as far as the age of the building.
Okay, so, one, criteria that's often used for a historic building, and Benjamin, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 50 years or older,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, you're starting to get things in the 50 years category that are in the like 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
It used to be 50 years was like pre-1950,
yeah.
you know? But yeah, 50 years is a good.
Would you wanna set that up as a preference, or?
No, as a real requirement.
Well, there's some things that are legitimately interesting and historic that were done in the 50s. I mean, you can think about, you know, commercial buildings of that type, and it's like, yeah, this would be really nice fixed up. We want to save that.
Can you, when you go to the Bronco and everything, you know, what's it called, that restaurant across the street from a Bronco? That used to be a restaurant in there, will that cover all that
Crab
area?
Creek, yeah, that would be included in here.
I like that.
It is 1972.
That one is?
Yeah.
2 years is 1972 now, so it'd be any structure.
We're feeling.
1972.
The school wouldn't be able to apply for any of that, right?
No, it'd have to be commercial. I do think a nonprofit with an office is something that, we could look at it a little closer, but I mean, it's the non.
So when you go on this side of town, you're covering all those buildings too, the whole house and,
Correct.
Betty Drive,
The old
Fix
building.
in.
The
Is
gentleman
Fix
that just
in on the
received
the main drawings already or not yet?
Which one?
Fix in. Pizzeria. Probably is, because if our building was, you probably is.
So it ends. Do not include the building.
I wonder how
And that'd actually be good to.
there's such boxes.
So there is a desire by the committee to have a requirement that the building be 50 years or older?
Yeah.
Or is there another age that you'd like to?
No,
look at?
I like the 50 years.
Okay.
Now, what about when you go down to Depot to all those businesses that are on the right side, including, those garages, and, the mechanical shops? I mean, those mechanical shops will be really nice to have some, at least facelift.
From Depot through here?
When you go down Depot, past Depot Park.
Oh, okay.
Like going the other way.
Yeah, no, so we'd be getting into Cambria at that point. Yeah, and then let's pull that up, because
Yeah.
if y'all are, kind of, okay with the direction we're going with downtown.
I'm fine with downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really for Cambria, with the effort to try to focus, in a concentrated area, we started at the school. The school, was included, which that's now gonna be a nonprofit.
Who's living in there?
Agape Center?
Okay.
And then this is Amelia's here, the old post office, working your way down towards the tracks.
How come, so the old post office is not in there?
So it is,
Oh,
so it's this area through here. We did not include the storage areas, we included the historic building. That was in case it sold, which it hasn't. And this is electrical supply building, antique store. Then we really limit it as it's going up the hill here. This is somewhat the end. We have had interest from these residential property owners, mainly because of.
but there's no commercial stuff
There's
in
no
it.
commercial.
Um,
But it does include the automotive, the shop here.
I would
And
really
then
like
another one
to
here as
include the
well.
shops, they just look, it'd be nice to have. Cause I know those have been in there for,
Yeah, there's an older red building here, that does not have anything at the bottom, and then the
do you foresee that building, the one right next to, that's on the other side of town, but I was thinking about the one next to the Donna Route 8 or whatever. On the right, there's like a mechanical shop that is shoes. Oh my goodness, it would be nice to have a facelift.
Yeah. Yeah, we have worked with them, from an operable vehicle standpoint and yeah, so it would not go that far unless you would want to extend it to, bypass.
Casey, will you be against them?
You're talking about just making a little bubble extend to
Yeah.
where Route 8 is?
Yeah. And that maybe will open the opportunity for more people that later on may wanna open a shop on that street.
You may want to consider slightly different guidelines for those areas as well. You are correct that they're worth doing, especially since it's an entrance in the town.
Mhm.
And it would even best be combined with some kind of streetscaping type effort.
Mhm.
But those businesses, the buildings and their needs there are different than they're gonna be in a place like a downtown. So you may find yourself helping out with different things or having different priorities. If you want to look at some of those areas, and there are some other ones too, right?
There's Radford
That,
Road, there's Roanoke, several sections of Roanoke
Yeah,
Street.
that you
As
may,
well as North Franklin.
you may wanna let us, whenever you're ready to do that, give us a little lead time, we can identify some of those areas for you and talk about what we think the needs are in those areas.
Well, that's sort of what I was getting at in the beginning, is that maybe, you know, gateways like that become their own, and,
Yeah.
what you were saying, maybe that's in its own separate project, but I do think it's worth the attention
Oh, certainly.
to bring their, in its own separate project where its criteria and, outputs are slightly different.
Yeah.
I
Just
do
make
like
it-
what you guys are saying as far as like making it into a different little thing. Maybe that will be called something else too,
Yeah.
But I think it's worth looking into and, you know, between hardscaping and you know, what do we do, in that sense?
Yeah, we could take a look
So-
at that, but like I say, it'll take a little time to
Right,
identify
yeah.
all that,
Mhm.
so you may wanna look at it for the next
Yeah,
round,
that sounds good to me.
if that's all right with you.
Can I ask you something since you
Mhm.
are in the arts committee? Do you guys have, restrictions as far as like, how far out can you go as far as like maybe having murals? I mean, can you imagine having a mural? I'm thinking about Radford City, all the nice murals that they have done in some of the main, like, as soon as you're driving into the town, there's like one on the side of the building right there in Radford. I mean, they're all over the place now, but when you first come in, there's like this beautiful, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, so even having like a really nice mural over there on Route 8, Donuts, obviously, is their building, but I'm just saying, do you guys have restrictions on?
I don't think that we have that restriction. I mean, we're starting with Cambria, but,
Mhm.
but we don't have that, restriction for location. Yeah.
So if I could try to summarize, stop, you know, we would like to move forward with advertising for the
Yeah.
next round. We'd like to focus, downtown, really creating it with the boundaries of Depot Street, First Street, which includes College and such.
Right.
And then we would, look at keeping Cambria the same at this point, because we're really not gaining much more than that.
So
by
you don't
enlarging-
think that you wanna, at least those two, garage, the, mechanical shops? Cause I mean, they're right there.
Well, I think one of the downsides is if we open it up to here, then why, would we,
Yeah.
would there be a reason to open it up to Radford at that point? And then also, the Midtown area.
Well, I think that's what
Yeah.
Benjamin was getting at. I think, I would like for staff to look at that as its own separate project as we build in time and money for that down the road. But I don't think it's with what we discussed previously, that it wouldn't be applicable for this.
Because I think that, that is an important gateway,
Right.
just like Roanoke Street is,
Mhm.
just like Radford.
Usually front doors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
is a little bit more populated because, or we get more trips because of 81, exit 114. And we've continually heard that over the years, sure. Exit 114, there are a few properties that you see that really don't, add to, the image that we would want to, provide, for the, again, it goes beyond the scope of this. More than,
I think we're good on that item then.
Can you remind me what the amount was for the grant?
so it'd be $4,500 of,
And-
match, and then there is $500 set aside to pay the artist to do rendering. So the
So it's
total
about
is-
5,000?
correct, so 5,000 per award,
And the artist is not a town employee, it's completely someone.
she is separate, yeah, she has a, artist from Salem, 2 rounds. Or to her by
Yeah.
Benjamin when he worked in Salem.
Thing that's really great.
I think she's worked well with the property owners.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it sort of peddles a certain look that you have if you have the same person. Especially somebody like Robin who understands what you're doing.
So let's move on to, are you okay with moving
yeah.
to the next one? Main Street Now 2022 conference discussion.
Okay, so with this, I'm gonna let you all decide how much you wanna kinda get into the conversation here, but, I did check with them, the Sunday, the welcome reception in the Main Street 101 is covered, with the application, for civic leaders. So you all would be, more welcome to attend those, and then Monday, gets into sessions from 8 a.m. till 8:15 in the afternoon. At this point, there are no, the tours are independent. If you would want to do that, it would be, up to you all to book. I'm happy to facilitate that if you find one that you really like me to try to get you in. A lot of them have booked up already. I do have a family obligation that has come up on Monday, May 16th, so I will have to go directly from that, that's in Northern Virginia, to here.
So when is that again?
So that would be, it would start the 15th Sunday. Again, the sessions start Monday morning and run through Wednesday.
And you're leaving when again?
So I will not be able to get into Richmond until late Monday.
And then on Sunday, I don't know what time, but I'll be there somehow.
And I believe from your email earlier that you were okay with traveling independently, not carpooling.
Right, but I won't be coming from here.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And you're coming
Representatives
from
from DCI
Richmond?
will be there as well, and they would like to share notes as well as, just
Do you know who's going, Ally, and anybody else,
to.
or?
I know it is Ally, and I'm not sure if there's anyone else.
Do you wanna look at this list, this week and kind of
Yeah.
do like a number 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
maybe, the ones that you may be
Right.
interested in taking, and then I'll do some little notes and see which ones.
Yeah, because I think it would be beneficial for us to go to different ones too,
Oh, yeah,
so we can
that's
cover as
what
much
I was
ground.
telling Andrew the other day.
Yeah, so we can take this weekend and look and see what's, and then
Okay.
trade notes.
Mhm.
That works.
Let's do that then. Can you send me that list, Andrew?
Sure.
I don't think I got that. Here it is. And then do we
And
have to
it's-
tell you
it's right
ahead?
on the website. No, I don't believe.
Do you have to register us for the classes? Or is it just like the other ones when you go to the other conferences? The rooms are open, you just go
Right, you
in?
just gotta go early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your seat.
Okay, so let's do that. Is there anything else that we're gonna talk about that conference right now?
No, nothing that comes to mind.
And then the Cambria mural project, that's on you, Casey.
Yeah, so I think we're Monday, that's right, of next week, we're gonna meet with, the artists that we're interested in, and with the, design that we're interested in, and talk through that, maybe make some tweaks and changes with that design. I was actually gonna make an announcement of that last night, and I thought maybe wait till it's all finalized before we go and make that, announcement, but there is, an artist and a design that we're interested in, and we're gonna meet with her on Monday.
We had 16 applications.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so it was a good.
That video was recorded, wasn't it?
So,
Because I haven't been able to see the video anywhere.
right, now, we, for that committee is not recorded. I mean, we take notes, you know, but that's not posted.
Do you have any of the pictures of the?
Yeah, I can share
Yeah,
those.
we can share that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully it's coming to fruition here and will be finalized next week.
That's fantastic,
Yeah,
good.
then we can,
The meeting does stream, they are still doing, Zoom, but it does stream live in here. Watch the meeting.
But it's not recorded.
It's not posted.
Can you send me a link to it?
Or as,
I mean, it was recorded, right?
or I recorded, yeah, to go back for notes,
But can you send me that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right,
No, it's fun, and the reason why I say this, I just want to be clear that, you know, we do want to, you know, when we started to post all the meetings, that the committees of council were to be posted, but committees beyond that were not. And so.
but they're foiable too, and they're accessible, right?
Yeah, I mean, if someone were to FOIA, yeah, that,
But I don't have to do it for you, you can just send it to me, right?
yeah.
Webcam Cam update.
So, right now, we are, contracting with a provider to run fiber to the pole. We are still doing the proof of concept. Craig is ordering the camera. He's kind of honed in on the particular camera that he thinks will work best. We do think that there's potential supply chain issues. So worst case scenario would be probably 3 to 4 months that we could get it in and get it up. But we're hoping it's going to be a lot quicker. But I did want to set that expectation that we can get the fiber to the pole fairly easily, through a contract, but then the delay is going to be getting the camera. Or it could be, getting the camera.
Can you keep us updated about that?
Will
Because
do,
I really would love to see those cameras before the festivals happen downtown and everything. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and as a reminder, we'll do the first camera, the one camera first, and then we can add different cameras if we believe that.
Casey, will you be okay if we open public funds?
yeah, no problem with that.
Do you guys have anything to say?
I mean, same thing as I've said for years, as far as this Facade grant. Should be open to everyone, or should be open to no one. And for years, I agree with Casey on that. For years, central business was supposed to be all businesses. They chose to concentrate on downtown Camarillo, and staff never would mind them what it actually said in the description of the central business district city. Because if I were a business owner in some other area, and my taxes were going to give some other business a leg up, pay for half of their renovations when I'm having to pay for all of mine on my own, I wouldn't be happy. And I think that some people were getting special treatment. In the past, the town, pretty okay with that, having special snowflakes, but I still think it's wrong. I always have.
I think all the more reason when we look at these other, the other corridors, we look at Midtown, we look at Roanoke, we look at Radford Street.
Well, Roanoke Street is a opportunity zone. I mean,
Right.
and that's because
That's what we look at.
downtown doesn't count for that,
Portion of it,
because
yeah.
guess what? The people around downtown that own businesses and everything else, they aren't hurting for money. Roanoke Street's an opportunity zone because it's a depressed area.
Oh, well, so there's opportunity over there.
Right,
That's
it's based
work
on,
opportunity?
well, it's based on census tract,
Okay.
and so, and a lot of the investments for that program haven't been realized as much as I think.
That's definitely true.
Can you always,
But it's only on the south side of Roanoke Street, so. because then you're favoring one business on one side over, you know, the other side, which I could see business like that is, it's really based on sales tax.
We're drawn by the state.
Drawn by the state, right, and recommended by, you know, the county.
So, I mean, that was my, you know, it's been something that because even though you all did change the description of this committee, you just tweaked it a little bit. It's always been all business districts, not just your.
I have some questions, regarding the farmer's market. I noticed yesterday they talked about food insecurity. Has the town done any outreach to Linden Grove and Linden Green regarding getting them to the farmer's market if there are food deserts in our town? I don't know if that is something the town has done in the past. If they're actually.
As advertising the SNAP benefits, I believe, well. I was like,
Even getting people there, because if you are a person who is economically insecure, a lot of times even getting transportation to get you where you need to go is difficult.
Right,
And that's why I was wondering, because,
and we did notice the first year at least, that it was moved to the rec center. Right, or, you know, last year when it was moved to the rec center, that there was less EBT, electronic bank transfer, you know.
Then what was used in downtown.
That's my understanding, yeah. But again, that's also probably getting used to it, and there's bus service there, it's, you know, from Nugget Ridge, Linden Grove, the one, the affordable housing complex, 250 units on,
I
Republic.
just heard the word Linden Green and Linden Grove a lot yesterday.
Yeah, no, and those are two of our larger affordable housing complexes.
And I guess that it's concerning to know that there are people that aren't even in town that are struggling.
Yeah, like Christiansburg Bluff is another area that we hear.
And the farmer's market is one of the reasons they created it, from what I understood, was to reach out to the SNAP and ABT to give them double their dollars,
Mhm.
so.
It may be worth looking, you know, CHP is the one who gave us the match for EBT, right?
Right.
Maybe working with maybe like
They're the owners of.
an entity like CHP, a community housing partner, and see how we can facilitate
Getting them where they're supposed to go.
yeah, I mean, because you're not wrong about that, and I think if that's the core mission of the farmer's market, which was discussed in that we had that discussion, last month maybe, about what is the farmer's market really here for? So, I think, you know, maybe looking at how we can partner with CHP to facilitate that transportation, wherever, rec center, wherever it goes, that we have sort of offering we can look further into. I think that's absolutely worth looking into. CHP would be the logical choice to talk to about it.
So what's one other thing I had? That thing that used to be, like, I think Andrew broke it out last meeting I was at, thing on the easel. You all should probably meet with the Parks and Rec Department, or, you know, their advisory committee and everything. Because on that, they've torn out the basketball court and replaced it with an amphitheater. Guess what? None of them have any idea that that's a plan. I mean, and it's in their park that they're supposed to be given advice of. But, you know, you have two different kind of plans here.
What location are we talking about again?
Downtown Park.
Okay.
There was a thing up there that was a place-making plan or whatever.
Oh.
And the basketball court torn out and amphitheater put in. We talked to the people on the, you know, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, they're like, I haven't heard anything about ripping out the basketball courts and putting an amphitheater in. Well, Parks, out of their thing, but they have no idea that this plan even exists.
I feel like there is two teams playing
Same
here.
thing with the farmer's market.
Because,
You all talk
even
about the
Brad
farmer's market?
wants the
Talk
basketball
about the farmer's
downtown.
market.
He
You all
wanted
should
them on
get
the
together
budget.
on the, you know, on the things that you all share in common, which is a downtown park, farmer's market stuff, all that, and discuss it so that, you know, you don't have any plans.
Well, I'm
not sure if there's competing plans. I mean, the Parks Master Plan doesn't necessarily go against what was shown in the placemaking plan. I think both plans and the you know, I think as you get into talking about what's feasible, what are the priorities for the town, that's where, you get the, feedback from, the commission, and I think that they're will be part of any discussion with downtown park.
That's also why they're
But
normally here,
it's
though.
not budgeted, it's not part of it, it's something that, I do think that, I think as far as a central business standpoint, there is overlap there, and there's always gonna be overlap.
It's just that someone today couldn't be here from Parks and Rec,
Well,
because they're normally here.
right, and they'll be here for, talking about special events and talking about, the farmer's market is needed. Rachel will be, she's planning to be here next month.
Okay.
Regarding that, but I think it is a matter of, ultimately, it's council's decision, right? The commission, you guys, report back to the council, the commission reports to council. So, as far as what are our plans, so, I don't see them as us not talking or us not communicating. I think it's a matter of, we're formulating a vision for the town as we move forward, and that was one concept, theater, whether that sticks or not, and whether it's feasible, that's.
I actually think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, and if we think it's
You need
time
to
to start
bring
to talk to
the-
the commission, we certainly can do that.
Well, I'm not against that, because, the reality is the downtown needs to vibrant downtown. And how do you make it vibrant? You need to bring events, you need to bring something that attracts it to the downtown. So, that's the same reason why we're talking about the Facade grant. We want people to be downtown, you got to bring something special for them to come downtown. And obviously, the farmer's market is a great place to come, but it's not bringing the activities that you want.
I just mean, just from a pure communication standpoint, I think Parks and Rec is more than just events. So I think it's also helpful if they can be here for, and they were here for every meeting. So I don't know if it was just that between Charlton, Rachel, and, Marty, that no one could be here.
I know Marty was told that he couldn't come, so.
Well, I think a representative.
That's really true. I think, it's a matter of us wanting to make sure that we're able to focus on you all the information.
Right.
That you need on a timely
Yeah.
fashion. But I will look into that, if that is what was told. I would like you all to work through us as much as possible, because I do think that, we're able to provide information, and be able to disseminate information to staff, maybe more effectively than what's in one.
Yeah, Andrew, but you're here too, but they're there, and it would be really nice, like Casey's saying, for one of them to be here. So the information is not just from one person, it's from someone that works in that department.
Right.
And you also, obviously, I know that you'll tell them, but, we are in a business that we do a lot of stuff during the daytime, and maybe things get overlooked, or maybe some of the stuff we won't be able to remember. So I just think that it's important to have someone over here from Parks and Rec.
And they weren't asked
Wow.
to communicate today.
Guess we're
I guess we're off camera. The generator will kick in here in a second.
I think, yes.
The generator will
That's
kick in.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're on generator right now. So, and Rachel will be here next month. So it is more of an anomaly.
Yeah, and that's what I,
Yeah.
somebody I know is normally
But
here.
if there's something that they don't have on the agenda, they probably will not be here.
Okay.
I guess is what I'm
Well, going to that, I really want to have a discussion talking about the whole thing with the community garden thing. I know yesterday it was rough in the meeting, and I just,
that would be best directed towards.
well, but that's,
Community garden.
I feel like, we're talking about central business here, and we're talking about all areas in the town. And I do think that maybe you can talk to him, from my perspective, I wanna hear more answers about this. Like,
Okay. No, I mean, you know, as we said, I mean, community farmers market needs to be open to the public. I don't think it was ever an intention to provide one person full access without a lease, without a nonprofit, without being a business entity, you know, to be able to farm an entire area with restricting other people from the public, you know, at their own discretion into an area, so I think.
I don't think that's what I heard from this person or this individual. It was his idea. He took it over and he brought it to us. And then from there, we kind of kicked him out to the curb. That's what I'm seeing from my side. And that meeting last night felt really awkward. And so I want to see some answers as far as like, how can we make sure, because my fear is, I don't want people to feel like Damen last night, where people come with ideas to the town, and they have good intentions, and when we treat them like they don't matter. And to me, that was pretty sad to me yesterday. And if there was something going on behind the scenes, I wanna hear from Brad, or I wanna hear from you guys, as far as like, tell me what went on from A to Z, and why did it go that way?
I think that's a conversation with Randy, you and Brad, just to have, not in this forum here, but to have just the three of you, then you can get the answers. I don't disagree with you about finding the answers, I just think that it needs to be in a smaller group to have it.
Well, but that, I guess I'm bringing it over here because it's part of all these places, like where the farmers market, where the farmers market is and where the community gardens are, they are part of our town. And they are also part of how can we get people together. This is a community thing, and so I want to get, and to hear from you guys, is there anything that our central business can do to help facilitate and make it better for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how, I will bring that to Randy, but I do think it is, you know, it would be important, you know, to have that conversation. I do think that, you know, from a central business standpoint, we do need to be careful, you know, I mean, it is a Parks and Rec program, you know, I mean, it is along a commercial corridor, but it's not a commercial property at this point. So, I mean, I don't necessarily, I mean, again, you know, this is really up to you all, but for that, I don't necessarily see that as a central business. There are a lot of programs that we have that are not, maybe held, like everything at the rec center is held within an area that we're looking at. Program, but, I mean, and I think that's part of us feeling out these new areas and what are we responsible for. I do think as a council member, yeah, absolutely. A lot of questions about it to talk to.
All right. Do you guys have any other business, Casey?
I do not.
Andrew? Anything else? Okay.
Great.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.